Okay, so we're back. Let's work on the abs now. So the reason I want to work on the abs now, and I want to essentially skip this midsection here, is because I want to work on the major muscle groups, the larger muscle groups, and then we'll go back in and we'll fill in the in-betweens after. Okay? It'll just be, I think, easier to understand that way. So, the abs now. So what we're looking for essentially is this part here. However, the obliques, which are these parts on the side, are also part of the abdominal region. So it's so we're going to include those in this one as well. When you think of abs, you think of a six-pack, but it's also got that abdominal region there, that oblique region included. So let's get drawing. If I want to, it's the same with the abs are the same as the chest and every other muscle as far as it's got an insertion point, which would probably be in these corners here. Okay, and their abs are going to look like this. Okay, and they're going to insert into there. Let's see if we can make this a bit more, maybe even one more. There we go. That's going to be the insertion points there. Okay, so what we're going to get with the abdominals is we're going to get some stretch and contraction as well. So if I was to draw it, a guy hunched over, for example, so this would be my stick figure of the guy hunched over. So this would be where my rib cage is here. That would be the bit that that bit there would be that underneath bit that you can see. Have my chest. And what we'd have with our abs here is we'd have this kind of compressed in and we get with our oblique on the side is we'd have a similar, very similar shape to it, although there's not. So very quickly, what I'm going to touch on is how muscles get their shapes. So essentially the abdominals, that red bit there is one big muscle, essentially. and you have tendons that go across them, and that's what gets that separation in the muscle. Okay. So if you think of it like that, the obliques don't have any tendons or anything like that going across it, so you don't get a separation as such. So you won't get like a big hard line like that. But what you do get is skin folds. So you get a little crease like that. So this is, we'd get something along the lines like this. Okay? And then if we were to do the opposite of that and stretch it out, so let's do that. Might just move this guy over just a little bit. This is my rib cage in here, my chest muscle, my clavicle, my collarbone in here. So remember, the chest starts in there. So again, this would be bottom of my rib cage here. That's where my abdominals would start, and what we'd do is we'd get a much more stretched look to the abdominals, which means they wouldn't be quite as defined. Have an oblique on the side here. Essentially you would still get some separation, but it would be much subtler. And because of the way you can see here, we've got this foldy bit over here and then this stretchy bit here. So the contraction and the stretch. So here we'd have the stretch here and contraction on this side here. So this oblique would be more like that. Okay, so the ab muscles are essentially, you know, pretty easy and simple things to get your head around. They're not too complicated. So you can see also that although we haven't done those smaller muscles that I was talking about, we've essentially skipped, oops, don't want to erase, we want pen. We've essentially skipped all of these small muscles in here, all of that detail. But even though we've skipped that, you can still see that it's believable. Okay? This is all you'd really need to portray a person. Alright, so we're going to leave this one here and we're going to come back in the next lesson and we'll work on these little muscles before moving into the back.